Hello Primary 4 students, how are you? Welcome in your science class with me, Dr. Shaymaء Hamdi Qasem, and your channel, the Big Sister channel. As now, we will study lessons 3 and 4 from Concept 3, Unit 1. So, are you ready? This activity from Lesson 3 has the title Firefly Light Show. You will enjoy the information that you will study here in the Firefly Light Show. As you see here, this is the firefly beetle. So beetle, this is one of the insects. Okay, as you see here, it lights up. It produces light. So how to the firefly beetle to produce light, that we will know now. So firefly beetle is considered from the insects and its body can produce light. So firefly beetle is considered from the insects and its body can produce light. And this light comes from the chemical reactions that happens inside the body of the firefly beetle. So chemical reaction in its body that allow to light up and communicate with other fireflies. So here the communication is by producing light. And this light comes from the chemical reactions in its body. As we have some chemical reactions that happens that produce light. As what's the meaning of chemical reaction? Substances react to produce another substance different from the first ones. This is chemical reaction. Some chemical reaction can produce light, and this is happen in the body of the firefly beetle. As you see here, this is the chemical reaction that produces light, and this is happen inside the body of the firefly beetle, and this is to communicate by using light. So here, the chemical reactions inside the firefly beetle allow it to communicate with other fireflies beetle by lighting up, as you see here. So, the question here, how do fireflies use their senses to communicate? As it's clear that the firefly petals use their sight sense to communicate with each other, and this is by using the flash patterns. They do flash patterns, different flash patterns by their wings. Okay, so here these patterns help the fireflies to communicate with each other, as if they see these patterns, so they know what this means. Okay, so here fireflies light up, and by using their wings they form different patterns, flash patterns. Okay, as they close their wings or open their wings, so the flash patterns have meaning. As you have here this picture, if they light up like the first pattern, this have meaning different from the others patterns. So it's clear. And why they do these flash patterns? This is for two reasons, very important reasons. To warn off other firefly petals from the predators. This is as warning to warn off other firefly petals from predators that there is danger. And the other reason, to attract a mate for reproduce. So the firefly petals use these flash patterns to warn off other firefly petals from predator, from dangers, or to attract a mate for reproduce. I want you to know that they flash at a regular period of time. What the meaning of this sentence? They produce their light at regular time, okay? As every 30-second they flash once, okay, or so another pattern, okay. This is the meaning of they flash at regular period of time. But if there is another group of fireflies flashing nearby, okay, a way to communicate with this group, they change their own flash pattern to match the flash pattern of the other group. Okay, so this is a way of communication. They normally flash at regular period of time, but if there is another group of fireflies flashing nearby, what happens? Yes, they change flash pattern to match the other group, okay, and this is a way to communicate. Okay, so what we said about the firefly petals, they are insects that produce their own light, and this is by chemical reaction that happens inside their bodies that allow them to light up and to communicate. And they are communicating by flash patterns that formed by their wings. And they do these flash patterns for two reasons. Even to warn of other fireflies that there is predator, or to attract mate to reproduce. And normally they flash in a regular period of time, but if there is a group of fireflies nearby, so they change their own flashlight to match the group, okay, and this is a way of communication. So how amazing this information about the firefly petals that use the sight sense to communicate with each other. Also, humans use light to communicate with others and to transform information, and this is by, for example, the traffic lights. As when we see the traffic light is red, that means that we stop. And when it turns into green, so the people can cross the road, can pass the road. So this is a way of communication by using light that the human do. So now we will go to activity 7, communication and information transfer. As we know, there are types of communication in human that humans use to communicate with others. Also, there are types of communication in animals and for animals only. So animals can use these to communicate with each other. First, we will start with types of communication in human. We have many types. As writing. Humans can communicate with each other by writing, as writing messages, writing books, okay? And this is for human only. This is a way of communication for human only. Animals can't write. Also reading. Reading is a type of communication for humans only, as they can read the messages, they can read books, okay? And animals can't communicate by reading. Also watching TV. It's a type of communication. As people watch TV, they know information, they watch news, they watch information about people and other people, famous people, okay? So this is a way of communication. Also using cell phone. Cell phones, people use them to communicate with each other, to speak to each other. So this is a way of communication for the humans only. Also type of communication in humans only as e-reader, and this is the electronic reader, as it is a device, as you see here, that you can read books on it, okay? So this is a type of communication for the humans only. Talk about type of communication that we studied. This type of communication is for animals only. As you see here, you remember this? Yes, echolocation that we studied in the dolphins and bats. This is a type of communication that for the animals only. So human can't communicate by echolocation. So if we talked about the communication in human and animal, we have types of communication in human only, like reading, watching TV, writing, cell phones, e-reader, which is electronic reader device, and the communication for animals only as echolocation. And there are some types of communication that found in human and animals, both of them, as producing sounds and displaying lights. As we studied, the humpback whale produced sounds to communicate with each other, and you remember they produce high-pitched sounds and low-pitched sounds. Also, another example for displaying light in animals, an example for displaying light in animals as what we studied now about the displaying light in the firefly beetles. They communicate by displaying light. And producing sounds in human as speaking and talking. Okay, this is producing sound in human. And an example for displaying light as the communication in the humans by seeing the traffic light. So this is a displaying light example for the human. So here we have some communications that found in both humans and animals as displaying lights and producing sounds. With this information, we finished lesson 3. Now we have lesson 4, transferring information. We have learned that the sense organs or sensory organs, like what? Like eyes, ears, tongue, nose, skin, all of these are sensory organs, collect information from world around us and send signals to the brain through what? You remember? Yes, through the nerves. And this is to the brain to process and understand this information. As we see here, this is the nervous system and the sensory organs that work together to gather the information, okay, that we collect from around us. So we can say that human senses are used to gather information from the environment and communicate with others, where eyes detect the light energy. Okay, eyes detect the light, which is the light energy, and ears detect the sound energy. Okay, and this is hearing. Okay, as in this concept, we talk about the sight, sense, and light energy. So we will take now examples of information that the eye receives. Okay, information that the eyes receive. We have 4 examples. First, as you see here, seeing the traffic light. This is an example for light energy that received by the eye. Okay, and when we see the traffic light, we know when we should walk or stop. Okay, by seeing the red color or the green light. Okay, the second example is the rescue flares. As from its name, it's for rescue, to get help. As people, when they are in desert or work as hikers or in some place that they need help, so they may use the rescue flares. It is a small object that produce light by fire, okay, and this is called rescue flares to get help. So any other people that see this rescue flare will know that there is a person or people that needs help. Okay. Third example for information that the eyes receive, like signal fires for communication. And this can be seen over large distance, okay? As from very large distance, if there is a signal fire, so people can detect that there are people that need help in this place, okay? So this is a way of communication by using light. And the fourth example and the last example, signaling to helicopters by mirror. As when hikers get lost, okay, in the mountains or in any place, so they may use the mirror, okay, to reflect the light, and helicopters receive this information and know that there is people that need help. Okay, so those are the four examples for receiving light, okay, by the eye and to get information by receiving this light. Okay? Now you will study way for transferring information, and this is by codes. So what is the meaning of code? Code, it is a pattern that has meaning, as this is a signal or sign that has meaning. Okay, pattern. It is a pattern that has meaning, and it is used for transmitting information. We have many examples that we will study now. One of these codes, like thumb up and thumb down, as when we do thumb up, that represents a simple meaning for good or I agree. And thumb down, this represents simple meaning for bad or I disagree. So when you do this, thumb up or thumb down, this is a code. This is a pattern that has meaning, that when we see this, we know the meaning. So we transmit information by thumb up and thumb down. Another example, like traffic lights. As when we see the red light, we know that we should stop, and when we see the green light, we know that we should cross the road. Another example for codes, which are patterns that has meaning, is the expression on face, as our face expressions are codes that help people to predict our feelings, to know our feelings. As when I see person looks sad, so this face expression help me to know that this person is sad or happy or angry. So expressions on face, those are codes that help people to predict. Predict means to know the feelings of other people. Another example for codes, like language. Language is a code in form of sounds because we speak this language. So this is in a form of sound that help people to transfer information, as we can transfer information by talking with each other using our language. An example for codes, like writing. And writing, these are codes that we use symbols. What the meaning of symbols? Like letters, numbers, full stop and exclamation mark, question mark. All of these are symbols that we put them in specific arrangement and gives us meaning. Okay, so writing is codes that use symbols in pattern to give specific meaning according to what? According to arrangement of letters in the words. We form words by using letters in a specific arrangement. This is writing, and this is a code that help us to transfer information. Also, another examples for codes as music and sounds, and different sound tones produced by human or musical instrument can used for communication by transferring information, as the different sounds, voices of human and the different sounds of musical instruments can be a way for communication and transferring information. So those are codes because they are patterns that have meaning. And here we have the last example for the codes. okay? And this is the lighthouses. What is the meaning of lighthouses? They are building that produce light, okay? So the sailors on their boats or ships, when they see this light, they know where they are. They are near from the land or they are away in the direction, okay? So lighthouses, they send codes here in the form of light, okay? Because they produce light that tell the sailors where they are. So those are the codes. They are patterns that have meaning and used for transferring information. So what happened when the sense receives this information? Even by the eye that receives the light energy, or the ear that receives the sound energy. When the senses receive this information, they send messages to the brain, and the brain decodes, which means translates, okay? Decodes and interprets the meaning. So here the brain translates, understand the meaning, okay? So we realize this information. We know what is this information. So the senses receive the information from the world around us and send these messages to the brain through the nerves. The brain processes this information, decodes this information, interprets, and give us the meaning, okay? With this information, we finished our lessons. So thank you for watching. See you next video, inshallah. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. Goodbye.